Hello, we have another Saturday food support group. So glad to have you guys here. And wanted to address the elephant in the room. I completely chopped all of my hair off. Completely chopped it all off. But it was in this quest for radical self-love. I told myself a bunch of lies for a very long time. I told myself that I had ugly eyes. And so I had to have makeup because I am ugly without makeup, that I am just impossible to look at without makeup. And so that was the first phase of radical self-love. And I got rid of the makeup and realized that it's the light within me that lights up my face. It's not the paint that I put on my face. And I'm totally not like condemning anyone else or judging anyone else. This was just my journey and the lies that I told myself. I also told myself that I have big ears and a long neck. And you guys can't tell from there, but I have facial hair. And so that I have to pluck every day. And so I told myself, I have to cover up. I have to have this hair to cover up, so that I can hide my hideousness. And then thankfully, my husband finally got through to me and said, you are beautiful who you are. The light that comes out of you, the love that comes out of you, the spirit that comes out of you, that's your beauty. And I was just like, what? I was like, I had no idea. And so I'm a very stubborn person, and it took a long time for me to hear this message of self-love and kind of radical self-love. It's not just like, oh, I can take a compliment. It's like, I know who I am. And so one of the reasons why I went ahead and did this is because I want to give you permission to love yourself where you're at. So often I think what we do is we turn to food, we turn to that comfort of the sugar and the processed foods to really to be kind of like our blankie, to be our comfort. But whenever you're able to operate in your authentic self, it is amazing having comfort in your every breath. Like every breath is my comfort moment. My security blanket is me. My security blanket is always with me. I don't have to reach and grab for things. Like I don't have to cover up with my hair to be comfortable. I just am. And so I wanted to share that with you guys and to let you know that who you are, bare and naked. I'm not going to show up to the meetings naked, I promise, but bare and naked, who you are is enough. And I wanted to share that with you guys. Marietta says, I agree with what your husband says. First time I see you, I found you are beautiful and having an amazing energy and great smile. Thank you, Marietta. That's so sweet. That means so much to me. And I didn't know that. Like I really didn't know that. But I'm grateful to understand that now. So to start us off today, Becky has 2 questions. So Becky, can you please ask us your 2 questions? Oh, you're muted. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Yeah, I can use myself. Hi, everyone. And I do like your hair very much. Like I said, you look like a little pixie, which is a compliment.
Thank you.
So what I had asked, what my question is about, basically, for myself personally, a question would be approximately, if I'm trying to do high fat carnivore, I feel like I'm craving butter all the time, and I've been eating a lot of butter, and I've gained from 125 in August to 175 right now, with changing because I had my weight loss surgery, malabsorption surgery reversed. And so when I had my doctor's appointment last Tuesday, he said, don't worry about it because you've nourished your body now, and now you have to start working on how much you should be eating and not just because I was in the mindset before with the surgery I had to eat all the time because I malabsorbed so much. So I'm trying to change my mindset because I'm absorbing food now and I don't have to eat so much.
So Becky, what's your question?
First question is how much fat does a person really need to eat when you have a good absorption? And so that would be my personal question. The second question was about a video I watched where Robert Lestwig, I think I'm saying his name a little wrong, but he wrote the book Metabolical. He talks about if you're on a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet and you're not fastidious and you eat some carbs, like you're having, whatever carbs it might be, that you basically, when you're in a high fat state and then you introduce insulin, that you're really then having a really bad diet. So he said a ketogenic diet is great, but you have to be super fastidious or you could be causing more damage. So I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that, but I wanted your opinions of that. So 2 questions like that. Personally for me, because I'm craving butter all the time, I want to eat it like all day long, but I'm trying to slow down.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky, for those questions. And today is the Amy show for 2 reasons. We have 3 Amy's on the show today. So nice to have all 3 Amy's. And Amy Bellender is definitely going to have some incredible answers for these questions. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, so your 2 questions are actually very similar. It's almost the same answer.
Sure, yeah.
You're talking about fuel. Whether it's fat or whether it's carbs, you are talking about fuel. And when you are over consuming fuel,
right,
you are going to gain weight. And if you combine the 2 fuels, especially if there's so much fat, and then you trigger that insulin, yes, you're going to store most of that fat that you are eating. So I do completely agree with his comment that it really could be like the worst diet because you are triggering that insulin because of the carbs, and then you're flooding your body with fat. Well, your body is going to go, we get rid of carbs first because they are far more toxic. They burn faster, they burn harder. We get more energy from those. So we're going to deal with these carbs first. And all of that fat is just going to go into storage. And so you are packing on a lot of excess, unneeded, and sometimes unwanted fuel. And then it's kind of the same thing with the how much fat should you be eating, even without the carbs. If you are over consuming what your body needs to run and what it has the ability to use, it will store the rest of it. I would love to tell you that whatever you don't eat, you're just going to poop out. It's totally fine. Our bodies don't work like that, especially when you have had a surgery such as you did. Your body now doesn't trust you, and it may not trust you for years to come because it wasn't getting what it needed. It couldn't absorb what it needed. And so now when it gets something, it goes, we're going to hold on to this because this could save my life someday. I may not be able to always gain weight. I may not always be able to process what I've eaten. So you're probably going to hold on to absolutely everything that you go over on. I love butter. However, a lot of people find that butter becomes their new sugar.
Right, yeah.
Because it's dairy and it does have sugar in it. Yes, it's a natural sugar. It actually does. It does. Have you ever noticed it has that sweet taste to it?
Sure.
It has the milk sugars that can be in the butter. Now, our thing says, no, there's no sugar in it. But the way that it triggers your brain, that lactose triggers your brain in a similar way, and it can actually become your new addiction. And a lot of people have found that butter, when they begin to eat too much butter, I get the whole eat a stick of butter. I used to promote that until I had people going to 2 and 3 sticks of butter every day, feeling like it was never enough and packing on the pounds because it became their new addiction.
Yeah, I was thinking that I'm like, am I getting addicted to butter now? Because if I Dr. CIRS and you guys too also, people are saying if you're snacking, check if you're really hungry or is it an emotional comfort response. And so I'm like, well, it's better. Butter is better to eat that than going for carbs. So I'm like, give yourself a break for a few weeks till you get off the carbs totally. But then you can sort of then, okay, now I'm off of carbs, but now I better be careful about how much butter I'm consuming. Like it became like if I was stressed out, well, let's go get some butter.
Yeah.
So it can,
yeah, exactly. It becomes, and it doesn't happen to everybody. This is why we're all different. Because for some people, they don't have that addictive personality and it's not a big deal. They can move on. For others, their brain will very easily latch onto. It can be an activity that you become addicted to. You can exercise yourself into a very, very poor state because it's become your new addiction. You can eat very healthy foods. You could drink yourself to death. We all need water. We're 70% water, but an overconsumption or overdoing anything can and will be detrimental.
Also, Amy Labby says that she actually did a study of that Dr. Lustig. Amy Labby, would you like to share?
Well, I was just going to say, I follow him very closely, and I think Becky was talking about the microbiome and do we need fiber and all that kind of thing. And I think the most recent thing that I've seen with him, because I always was like, I just agree with every single thing he says, but I don't think that he really agrees with carnivore. And so we have this question of the fiber, but he recently has come out and said that he does support that for some people, and that our microbiome will adjust to that lack of fiber, which was always my concern, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and I'm not eating any fiber. And is this really going to be detrimental in the long run? So I just wanted to throw out there that I think that he really has turned around his thinking on that, and that perhaps we are okay without fiber. So just wanted to throw that in there.
That's great. I didn't know that he said that.
Yeah. And Wendy,
he's very interesting because he talks mainly, he's really, really, when I haven't read his book, but I've watched a lot of videos. He's really like, don't eat sugar, don't eat processed food. It's poisoning your mitochondria. So I think everybody can agree with that.
Absolutely.
Then I think it's individually whether you need high fat, medium fat, or fiber. But honestly, I have had very little fiber in vegetables. Occasionally I will have a few vegetables here and there at like a party or something. People made some salad or something. But I feel like my intestines are just fine without the fiber.
That's awesome.
and then I would be the opposite. I was one of those ones that I thought the same thing. I was like, I don't need fiber. As long as I'm eating enough collagen, my body will turn that into prebiotics and everything will shift over. And it didn't work for me. I was not able to consistently get enough collagen, nor did I want to continue to buy enough collagen supplements. And the ones that I was getting weren't like the top-notch liquid collagen supplements. So when I had my gut tested, my bugs were very unhappy. I was missing a lot of really good bugs, and I had a lot of symptoms from that. I developed an H. pylori overgrowth because of that. So for me, fiber is kind of essential because I am not able to balance my electrolytes. My gut flora does not function. So there is no one answer. It's always going to depend on each individual person.
Amy, how did you test your gut flora, and how did you know you couldn't balance your electrolytes? So those two blood tests?
So I went through a functional medicine practitioner, and I got a gut mapping, a GI gut map. And so she took all kinds of tests. It was one I had to poop in a thing and collect it, and it's fun. It's lots of fun. I did the urine test, I did the fecal test, I did blood tests, I did a lot of tests.
Yeah.
It was a ridiculous amount of money.
What were your symptoms and then have they started to clear up? Because I know I've heard you allude to some things, but I missed a lot because we're on vacation.
A lot of my problem is something that we probably don't have time to go into today. I'm very slowly unpeeling my onion layers of what's wrong with Amy, because I know that I have Lyme disease, but there's a lot more underneath that I'm just now beginning to kind of discover. And honestly, food is not going to fix me. It's just plain and simple is not, because food was not the only thing to harm me. And so food cannot be the only thing to fix me. So for me, I can adjust and I can tweak until the cows come home, but it's only going to do so much for symptom mitigation. So we definitely don't have time to go into Amy's story right now, but did those answers kind of help you out a little bit, Becky?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I agree. And that's kind of the same thing when we had our appointment with Dr. Cyrus. He says, just start really looking at how much you need to eat, and you're not starving to death anymore. My blood work was fabulous. My arm skin is really improving, where before it was really dark, much darker. It looked like I had a tan, but it was like in a weird way. But I'm not bleeding all the time, so it's really greatly improving.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Now it's going to be that relationship with food instead of the dependence on food to get your nutrition. Now it's time to step out and start working on that relationship with the food, because you had to eat so much to make sure that you survived.
Yeah. And yesterday I was extremely busy and had a really good time doing a lot of activities. I had to run from one to the next, but it wasn't a stressful day. It was okay. And I only had one meal at dinner, and I really wasn't even hungry for dinner, but I thought, well, I'm going to eat dinner. But I'm like, I think I could have just totally fasted the whole day. So it was kind of interesting. I'm like, maybe I'm really not going to starve to death anymore.
That's exciting. Yeah. The next time that happens, go ahead and we call it riding the wave. Your body will eventually tell you, hey, I really need some food. You're going to get a headache. You're going to get nauseous. You'll start shaking. Just because your stomach is growling doesn't mean you're actually hungry. It just means that it's empty. But if you've got enough stores, it needs to have a chance to tap into those now. And the only way to do that is not to be consuming anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those questions, Becky. Our next question is from Marietta. She says, I have a question regarding virus and chronic fatigue. Would the carnivore help? Amy?
So that's another one of those things. It may help significantly with symptom management, but it depends on which virus you're talking about and what situation. If food wasn't the only thing to hurt you, it may not be the only thing to fix you. Now, carnivore can be an amazing tool for many, many, many people. I love carnivore to this day. I tried it 80 million ways. I tried to make it work. It just didn't work for me. I will still tell people, you need to try carnivore. You need to try it, because for you, it really could be your magic ticket that reverses all of your problems and fixes everything. And how amazing would that be if all you had to do was eat meat and get healthy? And there are those people. So I always say, start with food and lifestyle. 100% you want to start there. After that, if it doesn't work and you've given it a good college try, I'd say like 3 months. If then you're still not finding the results that you want, it's time for you to start looking at some other options. But I always recommend start with the food, try carnivore first, because it really can be magical for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And Amy, would you like to share your recent experience with illness?
So I got better on carnivore. Like, it was everything. It was my everything. And I would eat a little bit of plant matter here and there, just like seasonings and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden I stopped getting better and I started getting worse. I didn't change my diet. I didn't change my lifestyle. Actually, if I changed my lifestyle, it was because I started doing farm work and I started doing a lot of stuff around my house, and I was exercising even more, got down to my lowest weight, was feeling fantastic until everything started going backwards. And Marietta just put a question in there. It says, many thanks. Is eating raw meat better? It depends. For some people, yes, it can be, because there's going to be different nutrients that are available in that meat because it isn't cooked. However, there are some studies that show that most people are able to absorb the nutrients and the minerals from their meat when it's cooked medium rare better than when it's raw, and far better than when it's well done. Because by the time it's well done, everything's pretty much, cooked out of it. Like, there's some stuff in there, but it's not that great anymore. So medium rare is generally the recommendation. However, Emily and I love raw. Emily is only raw because that is what her body handles. Not only, like, she will eat a steak, she will eat other things, and she handles those, but her body thrives on the raw. Mine, I can't do only raw. So I kind of dabble back and forth. I'll do both. So if you feel like raw meat, do the raw meat. We both recommend that you get it from a local farmer, where your meat is coming from, or, something online that is certified, that they're clean and healthy. I don't recommend eating raw out of the grocery store. But, just I had to throw that disclaimer out there. So hopefully that answers that question. I started getting worse, and I changed my diet. And I was like, nothing is getting better. I have chronic pain now all the time. I am exhausted. I have brain fog again. My emotions are all over the place. I'm beginning to lose my desire to do everything. Like, I have a gorgeous farm. I love my animals. I love working outside. And I'm like, I just want to sit on the couch and cry. Like, what is wrong? This is not me. I have children that I homeschool, and I'm just like, go away. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything. And that's not me. So that's when I started doing the testing. And that's when I found out that my gut microbiome was totally a mess. And I found out that I have Lyme disease, 8 co-infections to go along with it. I have an H. pylori overgrowth. And that was like, okay, now we've got some answers. Now we can start working on this. Unfortunately, I kind of ran out of the money to fight all of that stuff, because by conventional Western medicine standards, I don't have Lyme disease. I'm not sick enough. But by alternative methods, I do have Lyme disease, actually 2 forms of it. So I have to wait until I'm sick enough for my insurance to cover any treatment. So now it's okay, let's play mitigation. Let's try to manage the symptoms as best as we can. And yet everything keeps getting worse, and I'm still eating. And then my body finally starts, through muscle testing, starts telling me, you need fiber, you need some other things, because we can't work with what we're being given right now. So I started muscle testing, and I have a very specific diet that is catered exactly to what my body is saying I need, not what you want. So working on that, and yet things are still going in the same direction. And I've been hearing about this condition for months from Judy Cho, from Lady Carnivore, and they have been using this term CIRS, C-I-R-S, Chronic Inflammatory Response Syndrome. I don't have that. I don't have that. That is not my problem. This is not my problem. Went online, looking at the symptoms. No. I put it off for months. So then Lady Carnivore comes into my Mighty Network as a guest speaker, and she's talking. And I'm like, dang nabbit. Everything. Y'all know me. I retain stuff. I'm like the regurgitator of information. I can't remember anything new anymore. I know what I know from the past, but I can't retain and assimilate anything new. And I'm getting to the point where I'm like, what's the word? There's a word that in my videos, it's hilarious. I'll be editing my videos, and Verinia, my daughter, is over on her bed, and I'll go, what's the word? And she'll give me the word, and then I'll say the word. And so we edit that out. And I swear I'm going to make an entire video of her giving me the word, because I can't think about it.
Oh, that
All of
breaks my
these
heart because you're our interpreter. Like
I know.
you're the one who like brings us all of the words.
I need the words. Yeah. So my daughter sits in most of the time. She's not in here right now, but most of the time she sits there and I'll mute and then I'll go, give me the word. And she'll tell me the word and I'll unmute and then I'll say it because I can't think. Those kinds of things, mood swings, fatigue. The oddest thing, night sweats, hot flashes, and cold streaks have come back like severely. Y'all, my body temperature has dropped. I'm just now discovering this. I've taken my body temperature at night. I wake up, I'm freezing cold, and then I'm just sweating. So I was like, what is my temperature doing? Like, I'm curious. My lowest temperature the other day was 95.7.
Wow.
Hypothermia sets in at 95. And I'm like, that's one of the symptoms of CIRS, is that you have very poor body temperature regulation. So I began looking into the treatment of CIRS. It's not pretty. And honestly,
It's not cheap.
without a miracle, it's not going to happen because I have to get my house tested to see both floors if there is mold. That's $260 right there just to buy these tests to see if there is mold in my house, which, by the way, Lyme disease causes CIRS, as does COVID. A lot of people are finding that long COVID is actually just CIRS. So there's that little nugget for you. But
Good grief.
just to get my house tested, it's $260. A tree branch just smashed in my back window on my vehicle a couple of days ago. That is $525 to get that fixed. Like, there's so much stuff. None of this is covered by insurance. So the doctors for CIRS won't even begin to treat you until you remediate or you move.
Wow. I did not know that.
They said that there's no point in us trying to drain your toxic bathtub while you're pouring in more toxins. So a lot of them won't even start until you move or you remediate your house.
What are the treatments that they want to do for you?
You'll have to watch. We can't go too much into that. You'll definitely have to watch Judy Cho's video.
There's so much. And then you have to repeat the tests. You have to do tests. And then you have to test again to see if the treatment is working. And then you have to test again to see if the treatment is working. So I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, we're going to do symptom management.
We're going to pray.
This is like, we're going to do some body code sessions. We're going to do on the knees praying. We are going to do everything we can. I'm going to do the grounding. I'm going to do the following exactly what my body is asking me to eat. But I cannot, for some people, the treatment is like $50,000.
What would they be doing?
Go watch the video. Yeah.
Well, you know,
definitely look into it.
I know this is not what you're going through, but I grew up in Pacifica in California on the coast. It's right down from San Francisco. It's a beach town. And we had single pane windows in a little tiny little house on the beach. And my mom we had mold in our house. So I'm like thinking mold, I was exposed to that my whole childhood. But what she always had to do was take all the furniture away from the walls, and she would bleach everything like every few months. She would just bleach our whole house to kill all the mold that was in the windows.
And that's actually one of the worst things. It's actually one of the worst things you can do. You don't ever want to use bleach on mold, because when you do, it kills it and it goes to spore and then it goes into your body. So you actually want to use vinegar to kill the bleach. So you might want to look into, you need to definitely, Becky, go look into CIRS, go start doing the research on it. There's a lot.
Yeah.
But that could very well be one of your underlying conditions as to why it's so hard for you.
We just had constant mold. I mean, she cleaned it up all the time, but like you just said, that's interesting.
Yeah. And we've got one more question here. And then we can come back to this if we have time, Amy, because I really think this is a great topic. But Raymond, can you please ask your question?
Well, my question was, I was on Carnivore for 5 months, which was pretty much of a disaster. Didn't work. So I've been looking for something else to replace it, and I've been reintroduced vegetables, and I'm eating lean meat and calorie counting. And what I'm concerned about is I did calorie counting in the past, and I'm just wondering if that's going to lower my metabolism. I'll reach a plateau, and then that will be it. That was my original reason for going on carnivore. Was I had gone from 268 pounds down to 175 counting calories, and I couldn't get really below that. So I tried carnivore, which didn't work at all. I put on weight, and I just had horrible constipation. So now I'm eating lean chopped meat, mixed frozen vegetables, and eggs pretty much, and using that to count calories. You can't use a heavier fatty meat because there's just too many calories in it. So I don't know what else to do. So that's my question. When I go out there and look at all these different diets, you kind of go around in a circle.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to put something into the chat. I want everybody, if I spelled it right, maybe I didn't spell it right. It's TDEE calculator. Actually, I think it might be .net. Let me go check real quick. TDEE calculator. Oh yeah, it's .net. I'm sorry. It's .net. So we're going to talk about, as soon as my computer lets me get back to Zoom. Thank you. TDEE calculator.net. What is TDEE? Total Daily Energy Expenditure. Counting calories works until it doesn't, until it hurts you. And they don't talk about that. This is why Weight Watchers works. And this is why on Weight Watchers, you have to keep reducing the calories. So our bodies need energy to perform daily functions. If you go to, thank you, Larry. If you go to tdeecalculator.net, you're going to go in there and you're going to enter in your age, your height. Unless you've had a DEXA scan or something similar, do not put in your body fat percentage. Don't guess. You're not going to get it right. Just leave that part blank. Put everything else in there and then hit calculate. And then if you look at the very top, it's going to talk about your basal resting metabolic rate. What is that? That is, Raymond is in the hospital. Raymond is bedridden in the hospital. Raymond isn't even eating. He's not even chewing calories. Raymond does not get up to go to the bathroom. He does not sit up in bed. That resting metabolic rate is how many calories it's going to take for your body to run properly.
Wow.
If you are not eating that many calories just to breathe, you are not eating enough. Because what your body does, our amazing, incredible bodies want to protect us. They want to keep living. So they go, well, if you're not going to give me enough, then I'm going to have to reduce some of my functions down a couple percentages. So then you're functioning at like 86%. Well, once your body gets used to that new set point, you reduced your calories. You're going to have to reduce your calories again because now your body's like, no, this is where I'm at. We're not going to lose any more weight. Let's reduce our calories down some more. Okay, now I really can't do anything. You're going to start having problems with mental issues, your emotions, your ability to walk up and down the stairs without getting out of breath, your heart rate. All of these things are going to start being affected very slowly because your body is not getting enough energy. So every time we lower down our calories, our body goes, I still want to live. So now we're going to function at 60% efficiency. What does that mean? That means that your body is no longer capable of turning over your protein cells. It has to reserve energy for keeping your heart beating. So we're supposed to turn over all of the protein cells in our entire body in a matter of months. You slow down on that. Your old cells that are hanging around that could be damaged, that could potentially have cancerous aspects to them, they're not able to get cleaned up and pushed out of your body. Speaking of cancer, fighting any kind of illness, that takes more energy. Your immune system has to be fully functioning and fully fueled in order to be able to fight these things. So if you look at that calculator, your resting basal metabolic rate, I'm just existing. Then you got to look at how active are you? Are you sedentary, where you're pretty much sitting on a couch all day, but you do go to the grocery store, you do walk up and down the stairs, you do stand in the kitchen and cook your food, and then you eat it. That's sedentary. That requires quite a bit more energy. Then we're going to look at lightly active, and you go in and you have to be honest. This is the hardest part about this. Everyone always used to say, put sedentary, always put sedentary, because then no matter what, you're going to be in a caloric deficit. Yeah, you are. And this is actually one of the reasons that carnivore doesn't work for so many people, because we've come from calorie restriction. Your body is down here at 68%. It's only functioning at 68%. And then we go carnivore and we start feeding it all of this nutrient dense food, whether it's fatty or lean. And I highly recommend fatty for several reasons, but you're going to start bringing in all this food. And now your body goes, we're not starving anymore. We better hang on to this because another famine could be right around the corner. We've been in a famine for 10, 15, 20 years. How long have you been calorie restricting? So we know that this is going to come. We have to hold on to absolutely everything. So that's why you start gaining weight. And your body, it can take months to sometimes years for some people's body to go, oh, the famine is over. We really are going to get this much energy on a consistent daily basis. Let's go ahead and do some spring cleaning. There's some things that we could ramp up a little bit. Then your metabolism is going to go up to like 75%. And it's going to sit there for a few minutes, weeks, days, years, before it goes, okay, no, we're really going to get this food. Okay, we don't have to store as much. Let's start really getting into some deep cleaning, spring cleaning for your house. And it bumps your metabolism up to 100%. But you have to show your body, first of all, that it can trust you. Now, I love protein. Protein is amazing, but protein is not everything. And the whole idea behind going carnivore is we want to get rid of the carbs, the sugar, the glucose. The problem is if you are not providing fat and enough fat for yourself, your body, again, being amazing, will turn protein into sugar. So a lot of carnivores, when they are not eating enough fat, they will find that their blood sugar is going up, their A1C is going up, their inflammation is going up. They have no idea why. And this is because when you don't provide enough fat for your body, then your body has to make its own fuel. And sometimes it kind of overshoots a little bit. So it ends up turning a lot of that protein via gluconeogenesis in your liver into sugar because it burns fast and it burns hot. It's easy to make. So that's what we end up doing when we don't eat enough fat. If you've ever had any kind of mental health issues, your brain is 70% fat. And generally, those of us that have ever had those types of issues, we need at least 70% fat in our diets. That is not a low-fat diet. That is not a low-calorie diet. So what do? This is the hard part. For some people, they just eat what they want to eat. They put on the pounds and they deal with it later. Some people, they'll go for like 6 months and then it'll stop. It'll slow down and they're good. Their bodies catch up. They learn to trust. Others, they decide to take it the slow way. So you look at what you're eating now and you're going to increase your calories by like 50, maybe 100. for a week or two until your body stops gaining weight and learns, okay, we can rely on this. Sometimes the big jumps are just too much, but the little tiny steps, you can get in more little tiny steps in a shorter amount of time. So you're going to increase. It's called reverse dieting. So you're going to increase just a little bit, and then you're going to let your body learn, we can rely on these extra 50 calories, these extra 100 calories. Cool. Fantastic. And I really highly recommend that it's coming from fat, especially if you've been such lean meat and veg. Those are fantastic, but your fuel is super important. And if you're not giving your body fuel, it has to make it on its own. So it's taking a lot of that protein and it's turning it into sugar. So start increasing. 50 grams of fat from butter is a half a tablespoon. That's it. So you can start increasing just little by little by little. And if you're not gaining weight and nothing is happening, you're going to go ahead and you're going to increase it again. And you're just going to keep working up that ladder until you get to what your TDEE should be for your age, your height, your activity level, and your current weight. What a lot of people don't know is that the larger you are, the more calories you need, because it takes energy to run your fat too. So it's a very long process when you're trying to reverse coming off of calorie restriction. It is very difficult in some cases, and in others, it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of finessing. So does that answer your question, Raymond?
So you're saying find out what my TDEE is, and then increase that by 50 or whatever with fat.
Wherever you are right now. So I want you to go to the TDEE calculator. I want you to see where you're supposed to be. That's your goal. And then you're going to look at where you are. And then you're going to where you are. So let's say that your goal is 2,500 calories a day. According to the calculator, we're just making up some numbers here. So let's say that your goal was 2,500 calories a day, but you're only eating 1,800 right now. For some people, as I'm assuming would happen for you based on your comment of carnivore didn't work for me, I gained a bunch of weight.
Well, it was not only the weight gain. I wasn't that concerned about that as much as the fact that I just had this terrible constipation to the point where I had to go to a gastroenterologist. I thought there was something wrong with me.
How much fat were you eating on carnivore?
I was eating a lot. I was eating fatty meat. I was eating bacon. I was eating eggs, butter. As much fat as I wanted. I mean, I didn't have any cravings. I wasn't hungry. So the biggest problem with it was, aside from not losing weight, I didn't put on like a lot of weight. I put on maybe 15 pounds, but it was just the constipation. It was like being impacted all the time.
So where did you come from when you went carnivore? What were you eating before carnivore?
I was basically living on sandwiches.
Okay. Were you eating a lot of fiber?
No.
Well, I would say to an extent, kind of, because the bread is going to have some fiber in it.
Yeah, it's a lot of bread.
Okay, so what my guess would be is that your body got used to volume. And when you don't eat the same volume, because fiber in plants, bread is going to puff up in your system and it's going to give you more to poop out. So when you go carnivore, all of a sudden there's not nearly as much to poop out. And so it never triggers your intestines. It never triggers your body to go poop because it's missing that volume. So for a lot of people in that case, what I recommend is actually, it's weird, but it's eat chia seeds. And you're going to start with you're going to start with 1 tablespoon. You would start with a tablespoon and you're going to swallow it several times a day. You can chew them or you can just swallow them whole. Those are going to puff up in your system and it's going to give you the bulk that you need to get your system moving again. The other super, super important thing to remember about going carnivore is that you're going to flush a lot of your electrolytes because you're no longer retaining all of those electrolytes. So adding something like milk of magnesia is almost imperative. Magnesium is one of those things that we dump the fastest. And once it's gone, you're going to start getting muscle cramps and headaches, and then eventually heart palpitations and all these other issues. Milk of magnesia, the original flavor, not the cherry stuff. We want nothing artificial, no flavors, no colors. You can drink tablespoons of that every single day, and that will also stimulate you to the point where you can start going. But usually I say a combination of the both. You would start with the chia seeds, slowly increase until you have a bowel movement, then stay at that dose. It could be 8 tablespoons a day. And then stay at that for a couple of days and then start backing off a little bit. And then your body goes, oh, there's not quite as much, but I can still feel it. So, okay. Okay. Oh, not quite as much, but okay. And it'll slowly begin to tighten in as it is, that signal of, we got some stuff in here, let's go ahead and get rid of it now, versus waiting for that giant bulk to be in there. So that's most of the time carnivores end up with diarrhea, but there are definitely the occasions where they end up with severe constipation. Sometimes fat fixes it, sometimes it doesn't. So the chia seeds and the milk of magnesia can make a huge difference. But so how about that? Does that help answer your question anymore?
Well, I was on carnivore for 5 months, and these 2 things that you're recommending, that's going to fix it. As long as I was taking magnesium supplements, that didn't do anything.
It's most of the time people are taking magnesium glycinate, which is the least likely to cause digestive upset. So the magnesium, the milk of magnesia is a saline laxative. So it's a totally different form of magnesium that will end up running straight through you. You can start off with 1 tablespoon. I know some people that are on like a half a cup of the stuff every single day in the beginning. But as your body, what it does is it draws fluid back to the colon. And so it makes everything start to work better. And it's really, really good for being able to up the magnesium level in your body, because I think there's a statistic that like 87% of the country is magnesium deficient,
Right.
Some dangerously so. So there's no guarantee it's going to fix it, but it is a good place to start. That doing that milk of magnesia, the original flavor, I get the off-brand, like Walmart's or wherever you're going to go. Buy bottles and bottles of the stuff. My kids, sometimes they get constipated. My littlest guy is pretty much carnivore, and he'll come on and he'll go, yeah, I haven't pooped in 2 days. And I think I need to poop. I'm like, okay, bud, let's go get the chalk. We call it liquid chalk because it's what it smells and tastes like. It's fun, but he will down some of that and then he'll be fine a couple of hours later. So for us, the milk of magnesia is the end all be all for carnivore constipation. But the chia seeds are a way to help train your body. We went from bulk to let's shrink the bulk a little bit, but we still have to do what we're supposed to be doing.
So you'll be on that permanently, that
Nope.
routine?
Nope. Once you
It's a tool. It's
Yep.
a tool.
It's just a tool, which is why you're going to go up in chia seeds until you're pooping. And then you're going to slowly every couple of days back down, like by a tablespoon at a time, and keep going while using the milk of magnesia, or you can just pick one of them. I'd say start with the milk of magnesia, but for most people, either one, it's a toss up, but magnesium is so super important, that the milk of magnesia is a great way. I'm almost jealous of some people who end up with the constipation because they can just like down the stuff and refill your body's magnesium stores. So yeah, you've got a lot of stuff to try to figure out which one you're going to really focus and tackle it at each time.
Okay.
Awesome. And this is why, you guys, Amy is my best friend. She is a wealth of knowledge, and so many different great ideas. And I'm so grateful that you had the words today. And if you guys want to follow her, go to Carnivore's Angel on YouTube, Instagram. You can even find her on Facebook, Amy Bellender. She has a mighty network. So if you really want to be able to pick Amy's brain, go to that mighty network and join her mighty network. She meets weekly with people and goes over every single detail on an individual basis. If you join her mighty network. And I recognize that we talked about a lot of things today, and that there is a lot of costly treatments. One of the reasons why I use the body code, and that's how I help Amy, is because she doesn't have $50,000. But we have this book and I have this ability to be able to do the muscle testing to help navigate. And so if you want help from me, I am also available, and I don't cost $50,000. But it's just one of those things that we really need to navigate where we are at. And it is so overwhelming to look at the big mountain. But if you just look at the little step that you're on right now, what's the biggest signal that you're getting right now? And master that level, master that step, and then go to the next step, and then go to the next step. We can't attack everything at once, but we can go through and slowly get back to our health. We know it's not in soda. We know it's not in sugar. We know it's not in chips. So we can at least go the direction of health a little bit more every day. So with that, our time is up, and I am so grateful for everyone who's in this meeting. And I hope you guys have a great Saturday. I will see you next Saturday. Bye.